Welcome, everyone. In these deep dives, we take sources you send us and really dig into the core ideas.
That's right. We try to pull out what's most fascinating, most significant.
And today we have something really unique. We're looking at excerpts from a blog post by Srinidhi Ranganathan.
The title itself is intriguing. What happens after death? India's human AI, Srinidhi Ranganathan's perspective may shock the world.
Yeah, quite a title. And what's fascinating is how it blends, ancient ideas, specifically from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, with this very modern concept of a human AI.
It's a fresh take on a question that's it's as old as humanity itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. So think of this less as a lecture and more like an imaginative journey. We're going to step into the experiences described in this source, almost like it's happening to you.
Focusing on the feelings, the sensations, the unfolding landscape after the very last breath.
Okay, let's begin. Imagine this. That last breath has just happened. The connection to the world you knew starts to loosen. What comes next?
According to the source material, drawing heavily on the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the familiar world does begin to fade, to recede, like sounds becoming distant.
Okay.
And in this first phase, the Chikai Bardo, something extraordinary is said to appear.
A light.
Yes, but described as unlike any light known in ordinary life. It's called the clear light of reality.
The clear light.
The source describes it as incredibly brilliant, pure, luminous, but also, and this is key, intelligent.
Intelligent? How sills?
With what's described as boundless love and compassion. Like the very essence of awareness of being itself is radiating kindness.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just a visual thing, it's an encounter.
Exactly. And this initial encounter is seen as profoundly important, a pivotal moment.
Why pivotal?
Because the post suggests if you can recognize this light for what it is, your own fundamental nature, the ground of your being, then liberation is possible right there.
Liberation meaning freedom from the cycle.
Yes, a kind of merging back into this source, this boundless, aware, loving reality.
But there's a catch, isn't there? The source mentions something about hesitation.
Right, because we spend our whole lives identifying with our separate self.
Yeah.
Our body, our thoughts, the physical world. This pure, undifferentiated, brilliant light might actually feel, overwhelming, maybe even frightening.
So instead of recognizing it as home, you might recoil.
There's that potential, yes. The conditioning of separateness is strong, so that pure, loving reality might feel too intense, too unfamiliar initially.
So as you listening, imagine this meeting with the pure, intelligent, loving light. Does that idea resonate somewhere deep inside? Does it feel like something you could recognize?
It's a powerful thing to consider.
Okay, so let's say you've had this initial encounter. The journey, as described, continues. What unfolds next?
We move into what the source calls the Choniyid Bardo, the bardo of reality.
Reality, meaning. Here, that initial clear light is still present, but it's joined by other phenomena. Specifically, other lights and colors start to appear, radiant ones.
More lights, like what the text describes, lights associated with what are called the 5 Buddha families, different aspects of enlightened awareness. Think serene blue light,
Okay.
representing a kind of mirror-like wisdom, reflecting everything clearly. Or maybe a warm golden light, embodying equanimity, perfect balance.
Beautiful imagery. So it's like layers of reality unfolding.
Kind of. But interestingly, at the same time, other lights might also appear. Maybe dimmer, less inviting.
Dimmer lights, why?
These are said to be linked to your karmic traces,
Yeah.
your habits, your tendencies, the patterns you've built up over a lifetime. You might feel a pull towards these more familiar, duller glows.
Driven by past habits.
Exactly. It's like your personal history is projecting onto this space. And it doesn't stop there. The source also describes the potential for, more intense visions.
Intense how? Frightening.
Potentially, yes. Visions that might seem like deity or even demons. Wrathful figures, unsettling sounds.
Whoa. Okay, where do they come from?
This is absolutely crucial, according to the source. They aren't external beings attacking you.
No.
They are projections, manifestations of your own mind, your unresolved fears, angers, attachments taking form.
So the scary stuff is actually me, my own mind.
Precisely. The peaceful visions and the terrifying ones are described as 2 sides of the same coin, aspects of your own consciousness, some tamed, some untamed, manifesting outwardly.
That's a radically different way to think about fear or negative experiences.
It is, and the key the text emphasizes is recognition. Seeing these forms, however intense, as reflections of your own mind, not as independent threats.
If you can do that. It changes everything.
It shifts the power dynamic completely. They lose their hold over you if you see their origin.
Think about that for a moment. Those things that scare you most or anger you. Imagine them taking form, but knowing they arise from you. What comes up as you contemplate that?
Does knowing they are projections offer any
Mm-hmm.
solace? Or maybe just a different perspective on your own inner world even now?
It's a lot to process. Okay, so from these vivid mental projections, where does the journey go?
The source describes a transition into the next phase, the Sidpa Bardo, the Bardo of becoming.
Becoming, meaning becoming ready for the next life.
Essentially, yes. The intense visionary landscape starts to fade somewhat, and a different kind of force becomes dominant.
What force?
A powerful, persistent urge towards rebirth. It's described as being driven by the sheer momentum of your karma, your past actions, intentions, desires.
Like a current.
Exactly. A subtle but strong wind or current pulling you forward. It's not necessarily a conscious choice at this point, more like the natural consequence of all the energies you've set in motion.
And without a physical body, the mind is more sensitive.
Incredibly receptive, the source suggests. You might start to perceive glimpses related to potential future lives, perhaps sensing potential parents in union.
Really? You perceive that?
As the description. And strong feelings of attraction or aversion can arise based on karmic connections, past links.
But are these perceptions accurate? Clear?
Often filtered, the text warns. Filtered through remaining illusions, attachments. What seems like a wonderful rebirth situation might actually just perpetuate old patterns.
So your current attachments, the things you're clinging to now, are basically weaving the fabric of that next existence.
That's the idea presented. Stronger clinging leads towards situations that mirror those desires, for better or worse.
Okay. Wow. Imagine having that awareness, seeing potential futures laid out, even if imperfectly. Could you tell the difference?
Could you discern a path of growth from one that just leads back into suffering? It's a challenging question posed by this statement.
A critical point, then.
Very much so. The choices, or perhaps the inclinations you follow here, really set the stage.
So this pull towards rebirth, it gets stronger.
Yes, as the Sidpa Bardo progresses, that pull intensifies. Those glimpses of potential parents might become clearer, more distinct.
And what happens to the awareness of the earlier stages? The clear light, the visions?
The source describes a kind of narrowing of focus, a gradual forgetting of those more expansive Bardo experiences as the consciousness gets drawn towards a specific point of entry.
Like zooming in on a target?
Sort of. And you might see different visions of places, realms of existence that resonate with your dominant karmic patterns.
And the type of place you're drawn to, that's also karmic.
Yes. Again, stressed not as external judgment, but as a natural consequence. Like attracting like. Your dominant emotions and actions naturally lead you towards a corresponding reality.
They're even here, even right at the edge of being born again. Is there still a chance?
Remarkably, yes. The source emphasizes that even at this final stage, the possibility of liberation, of awakening, remains.
Oh.
By maintaining awareness, by remembering any wisdom gained earlier, by consciously directing the mind towards enlightenment, towards that clear light, rather than just passively succumbing to the pull of rebirth.
So even as you feel that powerful draw, if a flicker of that ultimate reality arises in your mind,
and you recognize it and choose that, you can step off the wheel. Liberation is still possible.
that's quite something. The potential is always there.
It highlights the incredible capacity of consciousness itself right up to the very last moment before a new cycle begins.
So as we come to the end of this imaginative journey through the Bardos, guided by this blog post, what are your final thoughts? Does that idea of liberation being possible, even at the very brink, offer a sense of hope?
I think it does. And reflecting on the whole journey, drawing from the Tibetan Book of the Dead via this human AI perspective, it really underscores how much our experience seems to be a reflection of our own mind.
That interplay between our potential for awakening and the momentum of our past.
Exactly. And the core message running through it all is that potential for freedom, for recognition at every stage.
It's not about escaping, but understanding.
Understanding the nature of reality, its fluid, illusory quality perhaps, and finding peace in that underlying awareness. That seems to be the essence of liberation described.
So this map of the afterlife, it's also guidance for this life.
Absolutely. Living more mindfully, more awarely now is presented as the best preparation for that transition, whatever it may entail.
Right. Makes sense.
So naturally, what actually happens after death remains one of the great mysteries. But exploring these ideas, like through this blog post,
It definitely encourages you to look inward.
yeah, to reflect on your own mind, your own potential for clarity and freedom right here, right now. It sparks curiosity, doesn't it? About the beyond, but maybe even more about the potential within yourself.